Hey everybody, how is it going today? Welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome back if you are not. In this video, I just want to show you a couple of really nice trades that I see setting up right now. All right, so let's get started. The first one that I want to talk about is Globalstar Incorporated, ticker symbol GSAT. As we look at the chart, we can see there's been a ton of volume that's been pouring into the stock over the last few weeks. In fact, we had this massive up day right here where it gapped up on 555 million shares, which is just a huge increase over the average day. If we just take a random day right here, we can see that day had less than 5 million shares traded. So an average day on this one is probably right around 5 million shares. So just a lot of interest coming into this stock. After you get a gap up, what you want to do is see that gap hold, and that's exactly what we saw. It started to sell off just a tiny bit, but then it moved right back up and just hung around until this 8-period exponential moving average caught up to it. I love to see that on a stock, and of course, once you get that slingshot move up, I thought this thing was destined to be taking out this old high right around $3 a share. But for whatever reason, the up move just stalled out, and then we had a little bit of a gap down with a follow-through day. And even though this follow-through day looks pretty nasty on the chart, the volume actually wasn't all that massive compared to some of the up days that it had just a couple of weeks before that. So what you want to look for after that is if this down move is going to stall out quickly, and that's exactly what it looks like is happening. And if we go to that 15-minute chart and take a closer look, we can see we had this gap down, found some support, started to consolidate, but then it rolled over again pretty hard. This brought in more sellers, probably people that were trapped up here that got caught by surprise with this gap down and started to see it roll over, and they were like, you know what, I'm just gonna get out of it and take my loss or take my small gain depending on how long they were in the stock. And the stock found some footing, started to go sideways again, then rolled over the next day. But as we can see, there wasn't enough selling pressure to take out the high of the previous day. So this is telling us that the selling pressure is starting to exhaust itself. So once we see something like this happening on the chart, what we want to do is try to play that next potential swing up. And what you want to do is look for resistance areas and wait for it to get through that area. So the one that I am looking at on Globalstar is this area right here around $1.85 to about $1.90 or so. I think if Globalstar can hold this bottom and then break above this resistance area, this could potentially be starting the next move up. I think it could easily make it up to this $2.25 area. And of course, that'll be roughly a 20% move. But if it does end up moving higher, I think the next logical target is going to be filling this gap right here. And of course, that is going to be about a 30 to 35% move. That's about a 36% move from the resistance area. So that is a pretty decent trade that is setting up in Globalstar. So even if Globalstar kind of rolls over a little bit and takes out this low right here, but as long as it jumps right back into this consolidation, I'm going to keep this thing on my watch list because if it has a quick reversal after a sharp move down, I think that makes these setups even more reliable. So honestly, if it does do that, I'm probably going to get more excited about this trade. But I really like the way that GSAT is setting up at the moment. Okay, the next one that I want to talk about is Pixelworks Incorporated, ticker symbol PXLW. And the reason why I want to talk about this one next is because I actually bought this one today. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know what we are buying and selling in real time, there is a Patreon link in the description. It's only $10 a month. But please remember, I am not a financial advisor. All this for entertainment purposes only. I'm just trying to show you guys the best looking charts that I see setting up. Please make all of your own trading decisions. But with that being said, let's get into this chart. And as we can see, Pixelworks has been moving up on sharp volume, but it has been selling off pretty hard over the last couple of weeks. In fact, this pullback has, from peak to trough, been about 40%, but we can see that it's starting to find a bottom, and it broke above a relative high today. I entered the stock even though it hadn't broken up above that 8-period exponential moving average just yet. I'm relatively confident it's going to continue to move higher, but you never know what's going to happen. But if we go to that 15-minute chart, I'll show you what I was looking at. We can see we had that sharp move down and then another move up, and then it started to consolidate and move higher. I was looking at this area right here, and if PXLW broke above 545, I was going to enter this stock and hopefully catch that next move up. Got in at $5.46, but it is finding some resistance at this level right here. You can see it hit its head on that, plus that 8-period exponential moving average was right there as well. So I figured that was going to be a pretty decent size obstacle. But I'm going to take a shot on Pixelworks because I do think this thing is ready for a rebound. But if it doesn't, I placed my stop down here at $4.99. It is very important to put stops on your trades. If you don't do it, you are playing with fire. The single most important thing in trading is protecting your capital. If you don't do that, everything else goes out the window. It's very, very basic math. And, if you lose 50% in your portfolio, it takes 100% to get back to break even. If you lose 80% in your portfolio, it takes 400% to get back to even. And that is a lot of work. So just make sure you're protecting your capital. If you only want to risk, say, $500 on a trade, you adjust your position size accordingly. If it, by these levels, so if it breaks below a certain level on a chart, if that means a, $500 loss, if that's what you only want to risk on a trade, then that's the way you do it. You just position yourself accordingly. But I do think that PXLW has a pretty good chance of breaking above this resistance area, and hopefully it does and gets up here and fills the gap right here around $6.45. So that's a pretty decent move from here. In fact, it is going to be about a 20% move in the stock, and I will certainly take that. But let's get to the next one. And the next one that I want to talk about is Endo International, ticker symbol ENDP. This one was actually brought to my attention by Robert in the Patreon, and the more I looked at it, the more I started to like it. And honestly, I couldn't believe at first when I saw it, it was $2.72 a share. I remember trading this thing when it was probably close to $100 a share. I don't even know how many years ago. Actually, let's go to the weekly chart and look at it. Yeah, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I didn't realize it had been that long, but man, this is just a perfect example why you have to place stops on your position, because I bet people that bought this stock around $60, $70, $80, $90 a share weren't thinking this thing was going to be just a couple of bucks a few years later. So you have to protect that capital. But enough of that trip down memory lane. Let's get back to the current price action, because the only thing that matters right now is the right side of the chart, and that's what we're trying to figure out what could happen right now. But as we can see, this thing has been falling from right around $10 a share to a low of about $2 a share a couple of weeks ago. So that was an 80% haircut. But what I'm noticing on this current chart here is after this big fall, we had a bunch of buying come into the market for 3 straight days. And even though it kind of fizzled out and had a gap down, we can see if we zoom in a little closer that when it rolled over, it didn't have enough selling pressure to really take it lower. So I think this thing is really starting to bottom out and find its footing. And then, of course, a couple days ago, had the big gap up on a huge volume. So this thing looks like it could finally be bottoming after this big, long, brutal downtrend. And if we go to the 15-minute chart on this one and back it out a little bit, I'll show you what I am seeing. Of course, we had this big gap up, then it kind of sold off, had a little bit of a false breakdown where it looked like it was probably going to go lower, turned around immediately and continued into this consolidation right here. But this is the level that I'm looking for ENDP to break. If this thing can break above about $2.95 a share, I think we have a very strong possibility it's going to be taking out this old relative high right around $3.33. So that's what I'm going to be watching for in ENDP. And the fact that it's been going sideways for this long, I think there's a very strong possibility that it's going to happen. The longer it goes sideways, the better for one of these type of breakouts. So I'm definitely keeping ENDP on my list, and I'll be waiting for that move above 295. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions about any of these stocks, or if you have any other stocks you want me to take a look at, please leave them down there in the comment section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, guys, and until next time, take care.